Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where today we discuss NBA Conference Finals, WNBA First Week, and reactions to it. I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith and former co host of Beyond the Score, RIP, Matthew, don't call me Matt, Subiner.
All right,
How we
all right.
doing, fellas?
It's honestly crazy to
Doing
say.
good.
Don't call me Matt when the name I have down here is Matt. So that's wild.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it does say Matt on
Must have been a
his little
typo.
name tag there.
We'll get that
Yeah,
fixed, fella.
that's
Don't worry.
all right.
Well, Matt, it's good to see you back. It's been a while since we chopped it up, so glad to have you back on the pod, of course.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here. I figured I could maybe play a little bit of a Derek White role to your guys'
Mhm.
Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown duo. Rest in
Of
peace, Jason
course.
Tatum. He's not dead. He just blew out his Achilles.
Yeah, so I'm
Um,
obviously the Jason Tatum in this situation.
Yeah.
oh
Oh yeah.
man, oh man,
Oh wait.
oh man.
That took a second.
So you'll be back next season.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's
Can't,
go.
can't wait. Can't wait.
Let's go, man. I've been counting on that.
All
Mhm.
right, fellas. Well, let's get into it. We'll start with a game from last night. Thunder lead now 2-1 after the thumping that Minnesota gave them. So, what have you seen so far from this series, Matt?
I don't know. It's let's start with a game one, a little bit of game one conversation. Something that maybe no one would have thought to say. Julius Randle was the best player for the Wolves in that game. Shot 9 of 13. Ended up with 21 and 8. Some may say he was the lone wolf. I'll be here all night.
Oh.
Okay.
The Wolves as a team in that game ended up shooting 35% from the field, 29% from three, 71% from free throw line. If you take out Julius Randle shooting, they shot 29% from the field, 22% from three, and 67% from the free throw line. So definitely an NBA team, if you didn't know that for sure, based off those stats. In that game 1-2, J-Dub and Chet combined for 34 on 48% from the field, 5 steals for Jalen Williams, 2 blocks for Chet. Game 2, it was, I don't want to say much of the same because the Timberwolves played a heck of a lot better game in that game, but McDaniels and Edwards combined for 54 of the team's, I believe, 103 points. Was it 103, 108?
108, I think.
All right. So played pretty well in that game. Those two did.
103.
Nikhil Alexander Walker played solid, shot 5 of 8, 17 points. But that MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, went for 12 of 21, 38 points, 3 and 8, 3 steals. Solid defense from him. J-Dub and Chet each had 20. Overall, it was a really ugly 3-point shooting game from both of those teams in game 2. And then game 3, what's the language like on this podcast?
Whatever you want to say.
Minnesota went belt to ass in game 3. Hardcore game for Minnesota. Terrence Shannon Jr., very, very popular and well-known MVP player, actually outperformed the MVP in that game. It was just, from start to finish, Minnesota foot on the gas. I think first quarter, Anthony Edwards had a breakaway slam. I think that kind of summed up the entire game for the Timberwolves. Just very, very much outperforming Minnesota. Luka Garza, don't know if you guys heard the news. Luka Garza is the NBA's all-time leader in points per minute in the playoffs with 1.
Wow.
So, yeah, don't want to say he's the
Luka
greatest
Garza.
post-game. Yeah, postseason playoff performer. Talk about Michael Jordan's, talk about Luka's. Don't forget Luka Garza.
Yeah, you can't forget about Luka Garza for sure. Shout out Terrence Shannon as well, getting him some buckets. He finally saw some minutes. I kind of been calling for him to get some playing time for the Wolves a little bit, but you said it best, belt to ass for sure. And game 3 here, Alex, me and him were talking before the show. He said he feels it's more like Cleveland, in game 3 winning against the Pacers last in the semifinals, and the Timberwolves maybe kind of worked themselves out, and that's really the same opinion I had on this. But I still think you got Ant, you got Julius Randle, you have a good bench. If they play like this again, they're going to win again, and they're going to even up the series 2-2. And now we're looking at 6 to 7 games here, and that's not necessarily what it looked like those first two games. OKC looked Minnesota stayed close for the majority, but when it got to the end of the game, OKC just kind of shifted into another gear, and I can attribute that to J Dub. I mean, J Dub is somebody that I called out and said that I feel he needs to be that second consistent scorer. Chet kind of in there as well, but J Dub has definitely taken that role, starting with Game 7 of the last series. And I really feel like, and I said this last week, I feel like OKC kind of found themselves there. And you can find yourselves and still drop a dud like this, and hopefully that team comes back. Or I don't really care either way in this series, but if this team comes back in Game 4, it could potentially be a 3-1 series for sure. But definitely a shocking. I didn't expect it to be this bad. I expected Timberwolves maybe to pull one out at home. The Minnesota crowd is nice, so did not expect it to be a 42-point thrashing. Never even close at any point. And shout out to my OKC fan friend who said he was going to drop 50. No, it's not Logan. Different OKC friend. I immediately sent him a GIF or two after the game.
It was definitely close to 50. So,
Yeah, there was
Was it?
definitely it was definitely a number,
yeah,
for sure.
almost 50-point difference.
But yeah, game one I feel like was the biggest difference, biggest defining game in this one for sure. Like if you have Randall go 5 or 6 from deep, and then force Shea into what was it, 10 of 27 shooting, you have to win that game. And they not only lost that game, they lost by a bunch. Uh, Missed 36 threes, took 51. Not ideal. Not what Minnesota wants to be doing.
No.
Wolves had a chance to pull away in the final 4 minutes of that first half, and they just couldn't do it. And then it ended up a 4-point game at halftime, and then OKC kind of blitzed them from there. Second game, OKC dominates because they figured out, hey, they're blitzing Shea. Maybe let's take the ball out of his hands before half court. So Jalen Williams started bringing it up, and Shea went 12 of 20 for 38 points. That's pretty good, I guess. And Randall and Ant go 1 for 12 from deep in that game. And in both games 1 and 2, Minnesota gave up 50-plus points in the paint. There's supposedly the best paint defender in the league on that team. Not seeing much of it. Game 3, it got better. They only gave up 42 points in the paint. Great defenders down there in Minnesota, especially in the paint. But
Especially in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But I think, like you said, Colton, that this game is just like Game 3 against Cleveland against Indiana, and outscored OKC in the first quarter. Like they had no energy from the jump. That's not going to happen again this series. I think it'll finish in 5, but if it goes longer, it's because they don't have any energy. But I don't see that happening again. But this has been domination from OKC so far. I just think it was kind of an aberration in this one.
Yeah, a lot of times in these series, you got to get one. You got to get one at home. Um, but I really find it hard to doubt Anthony Edwards. I could see him just going ballistic. So I think the door is definitely still open for and Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid. Like those guys, they can get buckets. Julius Randle's been playing the best playoffs of his career. So I don't think it'll end in 5. I think the Timberwolves will even it up. That's my prediction. I guess I could say.
I'm just worried they might have exhausted themselves too much with this effort that they put up in Game 3, and they'll be the ones that ended up with no energy, but we will see. So moving on to the series that resumes tonight, the Eastern Conference Finals, where Indiana has a surprising 2-0 lead. I would say maybe Colton wouldn't say the same thing. And then they head home to see if they can wrap this up this week. So Colton, we'll let you go first. What have you seen from your team?
I'm just happy to be here. It's like I said, every time at the end of the game, I just go, job not finished, job finished, Job not finished. What I've seen is just what the Pacers have been throughout the past 2 years is just a shock. Like they shock me every single game. Where we go down 16 in game one, I see in that process of falling down 16, we fouled 2 players on threes. They make all 3 of their free throws, and Cat hits one. I tuned out. I'm not gonna lie. I had other stuff I wanted to do. I was too pissed to look at it, and so time goes by. I'm talking to my buddy on Discord, and I look down at my phone. Okay, we're still down 14 with like 3 minutes to go. I don't think I have to worry about this one. And then all of a sudden, my roommate comes and is like, "Dude, are you watching this right now?" I'm like, "No." And Tyrese had just hit the shot to send it to overtime, and so naturally, I went back and watched. Aaron Nesmith, the greatest bag of chips ever, man. The greatest bag of chips ever. I am so glad that he has become so much more than I saw him in that original trade. I mean, that dude, absolute bucket. And it's not only that. That guy, Charles Barkley made the point. That guy's playing defense on Jalen Brunson. Now, is Jalen Brunson dropping 40 a game still? Yes. But the ability to at least force him into some tough shots at the end of games and be able to still go around and hit, 8 threes in that game, 5 in a row there towards the end, to still be able to do all of that. I think that's very impressive. And like I said, especially in game 2, we saw Jalen Brunson taking tough shots. Who was on him? None other but Aaron Nesmith or Andrew Nimhard as well. I got to give him credit there. They're both playing some really great defense. And I think SVG made the point on the broadcast. He makes a lot of points, but this one I kind of stuck with me. I noticed the Pacers are really good at like making the Knicks have to screen hard, which can also force them to do a moving screen or something across those lines. So as I think you guys have frozen on my screen, that's interesting. I was talking so much that I just lost them. Are you back? There you go. You're back moving again. Did you
Yeah.
guys hear the word I said?
No.
Awesome. Well, hopefully
We
the
heard Nick's
recording
screen
audio
hard or
started.
something like that, but that's all we heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next screen hard. Like basically, like I was just saying, like the Pacers, like they get around screens very easily. They make screens like invaluable, and that's one of the most valuable plays in the game is a screen. I think that's what's really gotten Jalen Brunson's used to getting that separation off of the screen, and he hasn't had that. That still hasn't stopped him. Once he averaging like 39 points a game, yes, exact 39.5 points per game, but and Cat's averaging 27.5. Like it's not like the Knicks are playing bad. It's just the Pacers have more players, and we saw Tibbs finally go to the bench a little bit with Campaign, Miles McBride getting quite a few minutes, Mitchell Robinson got quite a few minutes, and I think at the end of the game we're seeing this play out where once again Tibbs just playing 6 to 7 players a game is biting him in the butt, and he's going up against a Pacers team that has 10 players that can legitimately come in and average about 8 points a game. I think right now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players that are averaging above 10 points per game. Shout out TJ McConnell for averaging 10. Toppin's there with 6. He had some really clutch plays. So we didn't even play Benedict Mathurin that much in game 2 just because he wasn't what we were going with. Shepard was playing some good defense. And we have Tony Bradley on our team. I didn't even know that. He was doing his
Legend.
thing. So yeah, it's really fun to see this team effort, and like I said, I'm happy to be here. Job not finished. We got 6 more games to win, but I'm liking the first 2. And we own, dude. I was cursing out Timothy Chalamet when he was trying to call a tech. I was like, just go film doing 3 or some shit. Like, get off my screen. There's my Pacers talk. I'll speak now.
Matt, what you got?
I mean, you hit on a lot of it. Halliburton's heroics in game 1. Aaron Nesmith playing the I don't want to say the game of his life because he's a young dude, but quite the game that we will see in the playoffs from anyone. Putting up 30 and three stocks in that game. You talked about his defense and who he's playing against. That's big time plays. Game 2, I was getting 2019 Finals flashbacks. Watching Pascal Siakam play basketball. 15 to 23, puts up 39, 5 and 3. Just an insane game from him and quite a game to show up. Knicks had 3 starters with a negative box plus minus. 8 players played for them. I mean, a lot of those points, it just goes to attest, what you were talking about, Colton. They just don't have the same depth as the Pacers do. And a point I did want to make, Pacers have shot 50, 40, 70 splits in both of these games so far. Their offense is acclaimed, has been acclaimed the last couple of years. And so I think it just goes to show that, this Knicks defense has had some problems, whether it's been the entirety of the game or whether it's been down the stretch in clutch time matching up against these players.
Can I
Absolutely.
add that they also, if you look at Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, all those guys, they are exhausted and defeated by the end of those games. And you look at Tyrese, he's chipper. I mean, obviously they won, so he's going to be. But even like when it's still crunch time, you can see the difference in the emotion. You can see the difference in, like fitness and whatnot. Because Tyrese can sit for like 10 or so minutes in each half. Not each half, but he can sit for a while. And Andrew Nembhard run the point, and he gets that. And Jalen Brunson doesn't have that. Miles McBride will come in for like 3 minutes, and then Brunson's back out there getting shots up. So sorry to cut you off, Alex, but I did want to go on that point as well.
No, totally good point. I just wanted to point out that we haven't mentioned the most unfathomable thing that the Knicks were up 8 with 35 seconds. That is one of the most unheard of playoff comebacks ever. Aaron Neesmith, you said maybe not the game of his life. I think it's the game of anybody's life. He had 20 points in the last 5 minutes of regulation. So that's a pretty Hall of Fame performance right there. Hallie went for 31 and 11 too, and celebration that was mistimed. I feel like, especially for a ball that bounced in. But anyways, neither here nor there. Game two, back and forth game. No quarter more than a 5 point difference. That was a fun game. Neesmith returned to human form, but as we mentioned, Pascal Siakam going for 39. It's just so fun to watch this Pacers team because they don't really care who scores. And they said that at the end of the game. They have so many, well, they have a few options to go for 30 plus each night, and it doesn't really matter who it is. Nobody's looking for their shots, as maybe a Knicks with Cat and Brunson. Brunson has had 40 plus, but like it, if the Celtics can't stop him, I feel like nobody is going to be able to stop him. So I feel like that is no indictment on the Pacers more than it is just about how great Brunson is.
Yes.
But the Pacers have been great. I don't expect the Knicks to just lie down and let the Pacers win this in a sweep. But it has been pretty surprising to me. I didn't realize the Pacers were this good. The depth has
Neither did
surprised
I.
me. The depth has certainly surprised me. And that New York can win one game at home is a very big indictment on them, I feel.
Absolutely.
But now, fellas, we'll move on to foul or flop, where we give our favorite quote of the week and decide whether it's foul and they have a point, or it's flop and they're selling baloney. Mine comes from the dog who is Aaron Gordon, who played Game 7 versus OKC without a leg. He said, I would appreciate it if there were a couple of days in between games instead of every other day in the playoff. The product of the game would be a lot better. You'll see a higher level of basketball, probably less blowouts. So mine's a bit of a two-parter. I would say foul on the first part. There should be more time in between games in the playoffs, but with the caveat that then you have to reduce the size of the regular season, which the players are never going to agree with. But that's the only way because the season's too long as it is, anyways. Where the flop comes in is there will probably be less blowouts. I don't know about you guys, but I think giving the better team more rest and more time to game plan might result in a few more blowouts. So that's a flop for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with the sentiment of having an extra day of break. If I was in a situation, I would probably be asking for the same thing. But like you said, you have to shorten the season, or you have the playoffs go into July, in which we would complain about how short the off season is. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of just like I agree with Aaron Gordon's premise, but I'm not sure it's feasible at this point. So it's a flop.
Yeah, no, I think you guys both hit on those points. Especially, you can take that time off and have more time to go into the next game. But like Alex, you were saying, you're then going to get a team that like, cool, maybe you beat them, in one game in their house, and then you go into game two after a couple of days, and there's a good chance they're going to put a 70 burger on your head, and they're going to be ready to go for game three in your house and do the exact same thing.
Exactly. Colton, you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll bring mine. Pretty simple. It's basketball genius Kendrick Perkins
Big Bird.
called SGA the greatest Thunder of all time. And I can imagine the only competition in his head was probably himself. Foul. That's all. I don't. Do I have to explain why? I mean, can he become the greatest Thunder of all time? Absolutely, because KD left about 2 years down the line from where SGA is at right now. But at this point, no, he's not there yet. He's getting there.
Yeah, I think that is definitely one of the takes of all time by Kendrick Perkins. Chalk it up on his list of probably a few hundred pages now that he's got going on.
Pages.
It's kind of getting ridiculous of seeing this on ESPN, especially now with Around the Horn leaving. We do get to see these, and this is just a completely different side tangent now. We do get to see these amazing takes from former players that are definitely not, completely wrong, and completely
biased in any
said.
way.
Yeah, no, not at all. But
that's
yeah,
that's why you watch the CX Podcast Network. There is no bias or hot takes.
None at all.
None, no, not at all. Yeah, no, that is definitely one of the quotes of all time, though.
Yeah, definitely a flop. Matt, you want to go next?
Yeah, my quote, it was more so, it just made me laugh. It was Jalen Williams after last night's thumping. He said, "In college, I lost by 60, so it can always be worse." Statistically speaking, yeah, it could be worse. Morally, I don't know if it really can.
Makes
I'll
sense.
give him the numbers. I'll give him a foul on that. He was right statistically.
Yeah,
That's totally what he meant.
Yeah, for sure.
I would probably go foul just because obviously by the numbers it can be worse, but does it get worse than Rudy Gobert stealing the ball and going like coast to coast on you? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So it's really a tough point to argue.
Watching Luka Garza hit a turnaround fadeaway jump shot looking like Dirk on your counterpart, Jalen Williams. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it gets much better than that for the Wolves, not at all for the Thunder.
All right, well, that'll do it for this edition of Foul or Flop. Let's transition to the league, who just started their season, the WNBA, and we'll take a look at the standings as we are through the first week now. Minnesota is in first, 4-0. The Liberty are 3-0 in second. Phoenix 3-1, 2-1 in third. Seattle 2-1 in fourth. The Valkyries in fifth at 2-1. Las Vegas in sixth at 2-1. Washington 7th at 2-2. Indiana 8th at 2-2. 9th is Atlanta at 2-2. LA is 1-3 and 10th. 11th is Chicago at 0-2. Connecticut is 0-3 and 12th. And Dallas is 0-4 in 13th. So, fellas, what pleasant surprises have we seen so far this WNBA season?
Well, Alex, I'll go ahead and point out that the Golden State Valkyries may not win a game all year, right?
That is what I said, yeah.
well, they won too, and I haven't been able to tune into that, but seeing them figuring it out, winning a couple games, it's been pretty nice, and I don't know, I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, I would say my biggest surprise so far would be and I know it's been a hot topic, is the play of Angel Reese, not necessarily anything else, nothing else that goes on outside of the lines. After a great rookie year, setting tons of records, especially on the boards, I think a sophomore slump might be a bit of an understatement right now. 7 points a game. She's averaging 14.5 rebounds per game, but after the stretch of blocked shots the other night that happened in a single possession, that does make up for a bit of the rebounds there. She's got 22, 50, and 37 shooting splits right now. So yeah, I would say that's a bit of a surprise, especially from someone who was putting up a very, very promising season last year. Not to say that the season's over. Obviously, she's going to get a heck of a lot better. She's going to, learn the system that she's got instilled even more around her this year with, drafting guards and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been a bit of a rough start for her.
Yeah, I would say for me, the pleasant surprise will be Sonia Citron, the rookie for the Mystics, who was looked at really as a consolation prize after Olivia Miles decided to forego the draft, but is now really competing with Paige Beckers for Rookie of the Year. She's averaging 16 points per game, 4 rebounds, uh, one steal a game, 51% from the field, and 47% from three. So she's having herself a heck of a start to the season. And the second one I would like to point out is Jessica Shepard, somebody for the Lynx who didn't even play all of last season and is now being asked to fill the production that Kayla McBride is not able to right now because she's out with injury, and she has done so well. She's averaging 11 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists per game while shooting 64% from the field. So she's been about as efficient as possible to replace a 15 point per game scorer who is an elite defender as well. So she's fit in pretty seamlessly without any rush showing, even without being off a season.
Yeah, I do. I want to add a surprise. The one I was going to give, then I noticed the Valkyries, so I had to get that little dig in on Alex. Nefessa Collier. Did I say that right? Nefessa?
Nafisa, yeah.
Nafisa, sorry. Leading the league in points right now, 29.5. Been an absolute bucket getter for the undefeated Minnesota Lynx. It's been the Lynx and the Liberty up front, and I'm really excited to see that game just whenever that should be coming up here pretty soon, I think. So whenever that comes, that'll be must watch TV. So yeah, what a great start for Collier, and that's somebody that we mentioned in our I think what did we say as an MVP candidate? I forget where I went on that.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think I went elsewhere between either her, but she's stamping herself as I don't know the favorite yet, but she's up there. She's up there for sure. So excited to see how that whole MVP battle works out throughout the season.
I knew they would definitely be one of the hungrier teams coming into the season after falling one game short of a championship.
Yes.
But we've talked about the exciting surprises. Do you all have any disappointments that you've seen so far from the season? Matt, I guess we kind of
Matt?
went over yours already, huh?
Yeah, I guess I
Yeah.
kind of hit mine. It's a bit of a I think it is a little bit of a bummer because you want to see good paint play from any team as well as really fun guard play, and so you just kind of hope that it gets figured out there in Chicago because I think the duo of Angel Reese and HVL could be really fun to watch if they're able to work that out and get everything working down low.
And if
I
they
got
play her
a
too.
sorry.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
wanted to say if they play her because they're being stupid and not playing her that much either.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Absolutely. For me, it's the Dallas Wings. 0-4 start. I mean, they played the Lynx, kind of saw how that would go. Actually, they played the Lynx twice. And then the dropping games to the Storm and the Dream just haven't had that same sort of magic, maybe. I remember the Fever starting off slow. We knew the Wings weren't going to be competing for anything early, but I feel like I expected better than this, and maybe I was just expecting too much. But uh, Paige Bucket's only getting about 13 points per game, also 6.2 assists though. So it's her first year. She's coming after a year that we saw Caitlin Clark and what she was able to do. But Caitlin Clark also had some adjusting to do to start her career out as well. So a lot of high expectations for this team. I think they'll get there, just probably not this year. But I still am a little disappointed to see the 0-4 start. And really, I'm not sure, other than the second Lynx game, they were really in any of these. It's kind of an arm's length from the Storm and the Dream there. So it's good that they challenged the Lynx, gave them a good fight, but I'd like to see them getting some W's in the counter.
Yeah,
Yeah, words.
I think the thing that throws us off about the Wings is we expect Enrique to have a better start to the season. Somebody who was
Yes.
second in points in points per game last season, is shooting 25% this season so far and has been held to single digits twice. So that is concerning. Two other disappointments I wanted to point out. Kia Stokes for the Aces. Asia needs some help in that front court. That's part of the reason they got bounced last year. The Aces knew that coming into this season, and they refused to address it. Kia Stokes has yet to register a point in 4 games as a starter. That's bad. Asia deserves better. Fix it, Aces. And then for my Indiana Fever, DeWanna Bonner, my favorite signing of the offseason. Thought somebody I thought was going to be a difference maker, an elite defender who's now third all time in scoring. But she is 2 of 16 through 4 games and has only 10 total points on the season. I mean, it's tough going from the first or second option, depending on how you looked at that team last year, to being probably the fourth scoring option wise. But she needs to get it together because Indiana wants to run small. And if she's going to be at the 4, she needs to figure out how to score and how to defend because she has had a very slow start for somebody who is definitely going to be a Hall of Famer. And looking back, I guess we can look back on those overreactions or see if we have any new ones, fellas. Y'all got any?
I got one. I think the Liberty, and I guess I kind of talked about this already in my surprises. The Liberty and Lynx. I think that's going to end up being our finals. I think that's the overreaction I get from this week. They both seem to be very. I mean, the Fever came very close to knocking off the Liberty yesterday in what was an outstanding game. But I think those two got to be the favorites right now. They seem to be the most ready, and that it's an overreaction, so it's not necessarily what I think could end up being the case. You'll have the ebbs and flows of the season, but if I'm looking at a 1-2 at the end of the first week, I'm going Lynx and Liberty.
Matt, you got any?
Yeah, my overreaction, just to kind of spite Alex a little bit and just to show some love to the Bay. I think the Valkyries could be a fringe playoff team, maybe even ruin some playoff chances farther down the line. You look at their offense, maybe not the most, pop off the screen offense that they've got, but you look at the defense, holding opponents to 77 points a game. That's fourth in the league. Defensive rating is also fourth in the league at 96.8. Getting about 9 offensive boards a game. You got 5 players in double figures, 2 players shooting 40% from the field. You got 3 players shooting 35% plus from 3. I think it could just be a fun team to watch down the line. See what they're able to do in terms of, maybe making a run, but if not making a run, definitely ruining some other teams' chances and getting some in some executives' heads.
Yeah, I think mine would be the Aces don't make it past round 1 in the playoffs. That's how I'm seeing it right now because the front court issues are abysmal. They have given up 38 points per game in the paint because of their front court issues, and they have not registered that many points apart from Asia. Well, matter of fact, 0 points apart from Asia in the front court. So if you basically get to play 4-on-5 on both sides of the basketball, I don't see you doing really well. And I don't think there are many of that small ball teams in the WNBA where the Aces match up well with them. So as of right now, unless they make a trade or something happens where Liz Kitley is able to come back or Megan Gustafson comes back from injury and is a big difference maker, I don't see this team making it out of the first round of the playoffs. They'll still probably get that 4 or 5 seed, but I don't see them winning that series at all.
Okay. All right. I think I was the one that ended up putting the Aces in my finals, if I remember correctly. So I don't like to hear that.
Now, I mean, that could change with if Jewel Lloyd gets her footing because she's doing the same thing as DeWanna Bonner, trying to figure out how to go from being like the first option to probably the third or fourth option scoring wise on the team. But
Mm-hmm.
if Asia Wilson's on the team, there's always a way. So not counting them out, but saying it's looking really bad right now.
Yeah, I
Uh,
bet that's what Josh thought when he saw the Knicks and the Timberwolves start the season.
that's
You see
true,
where
yeah.
they're at now, currently down in the Western Conference Finals. So, or no, but
Yikes.
yeah.
Now it's time to figure out who knows ball as we pick our winners for this week's most exciting games. Colton, you want to give a little update on what happened last week?
Yeah. I figured you wouldn't want to give that update. Currently, as it stands, we're recording this on Sunday at about noon Central Time, and currently, me and Logan are 1-0. We picked the Fever to lose to the Liberty. Alex picked the Fever to beat the Liberty,
Oh, okay.
and so he is currently at 0-1. You got pretty close to being. You could have flipped, but didn't. So we're still waiting on. And by the time this video is out, we'll know the result of the Sky and is it the Aces they're playing? I had
I
the
think so,
schedule
yeah.
pulled up. It's today. This guy play against Sparks, actually Sparks. So um, we all went Sparks on that one, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
believe
So
so, yeah.
regardless of how it is, we should pretty much keep the same. So Matt, it's your time to get on the board though this week, and uh, we'll see how that looks. I'll have a graphic and all that I'll throw up around here so y'all
Okay.
can see what the official record is now, but we don't have that for our viewership. So, Alex, what games you got for us this week?
The first one I got is Friday at 10 on Ion, or you could watch it on WA League, NBA League Pass. It's cheap, so go get it. Links at the Mercury. I got the Lynx, a defensive juggernaut who will feast on a team who's really relying on two stars to be 50% of their point total. They're not scoring much, and two stars are 50% of their scoring total. So I feel like the Lynx will kind of feast on that, and this one may be a blowout.
Yeah, I'm siding with the Lynx as well on this one. I'm pretty high on this team and what I've seen so far, so I don't really see any reason to diverge from that. Give me the Lynx, probably by quite a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, we've sat here and sang the Lynx's praises the whole time we've been talking about the WNBA. So I think it's gonna be tough not to pick them. So I'm gonna go with the Lynx. Nafisa, I don't know if we specifically said this earlier. Her shooting splits 50-50-90 right now.
I
That's
didn't see
insane.
that part of it.
That
That's
is
decent.
insane.
Also leading
So
the league.
yeah, I'm gonna go Lynx.
All right, and then Sunday at 6 p.m. on League Pass, Aces at the Storm. It's the start of the Commissioner's Cup. That'll be fun. But this one, I'm saying give me the Storm. In my opinion, the Storm have the best front court in the league with Agumuke, uh, Liuru, uh, and the rookie Maglagon, and then Max Jabor, who they already had. So they have front court depth, and as we've talked about over and over again, the Aces do not. I think they'll keep it close because the guard play is better for the Aces, but give me the Storm in this one.
Alex, I hear your point, but I have to feed my delusions of an Aces finals. So I think a win over Seattle here would keep that delusion alive. So give me the Aces to win this game.
It's a split decision. So this is really seeing really who's going to take the majority on this one. I'm going to go the Storm as well. It just seems like the problems that they've got right now. It kind of reminds me of another team, in the NBA that is out west that was having some problems, down low. Um, they made the playoffs though, and they lost round one. So I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
say names, not going to point fingers. But we see how that problem can go. It can go very very poor for some teams. So I think the Aces, they got to fix it before they lose it. So yeah, I'm going to go the Storm.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
a little divided on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's time for our shooting star of the week, where we pick our baller of the week. Matt, who you got?
And we're going purely WNBA.
It can
No,
be any
anybody,
Anyone.
anybody.
it could be high school. It could be AAU. It could be whatever
Basketball.
you want.
Okay. All
We'll
right.
stick with
Basketball. It could be
basketball.
me. I
Could
played
be Col-
basketball
it
this
could be
week.
Colton, man. That is
Put up some numbers.
okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just gonna stick to with what we've been talking about with the Lynx, Nafisa Collier. I mean, insane numbers, video game numbers that she's putting up right now. So I feel like it'd be tough not to pick someone who's putting up those numbers.
Colton.
I'll swing back to the NBA and go with Julius Randle. I do want to give him some credit, and just the playoff run he's had, and to be like in game one, the one thing going right for the Timberwolves. So shout out to Randall. Always loved seeing Randall doing well. So glad to see him finally getting that playoff recognition that he hasn't had because of his own performance. So, but figuring it out is something that he wanted to address personally, and seeing him kind of fulfill that through the playoffs is nice.
For me, I'm going Aaron Neesmith, 20 points in the last 5 minutes of that regulation in game one is one of the greatest heaters I think I've ever seen in an NBA game, playoffs or not. And then it led to one of the best finishes in the playoffs I've ever seen. So that was really awesome. So he wins my shooting star of the week.
I'm a little curious. I thought you would have gone Rudy Gobert. I know you're a big fan of his.
He is, yeah, maybe next
He's
week.
an NBA
We'll
player.
see
He's
how
an
he
NBA
does with the rest of the series. Maybe next week.
I mean, especially
player.
with how he held it down in the paint in the series so far. You said it was
Yeah.
from 50
Yeah.
points in one game to 42 in the next.
I
It was
mean,
50
that
plus
has to
the
be the
first
Rudy
two
Gobert
games.
effect,
Yeah,
right?
42 in the second. So like 150 just about over the whole series in the paint. But who's counting? Not me.
The Rudy Gobert effect.
Not.
Also, to your point on Aaron Neesmith, I've definitely done that like 10 times on 2K. Where, oh no, I'm down 16 with two to go. Let's just change this to rookie difficulty and let's see what happens. That's what happened with Neesmith. You figure out how
Yeah,
to change the settings.
Yeah.
he turned the sliders up for sure. All right,
I did
fellas,
see
any final thoughts?
yeah, I was just going to say Larry David was at the Knicks game. So I was going to say for all we know, this could be a part of the NBA script that so many
Mhm.
theorists like to talk about. And this is all going to be an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Feel like that could
Yes,
easily
it
be
is.
done, and there's needs to be
Yes,
another
I
commercial of
will
him
be tuning in.
tripping a player. But who that
Yeah.
player is, who knows? But that would be fun. So I guess that will do it for this edition of the Restricted Area Podcast. Subscribe to the CX Podcast Network for more sports shows like NASCAR and MLB, possibly starting this week. We will
it
see.
will be starting this Thursday according to Josh. So if not, everyone go blame Josh for that.
Let's go. So be looking out for that this week. Check out the Dan Horde interview on the North Benchwarmers page as well. And then follow us on Twitter, me at the Wheel Jill, Colton at Colt.45. That's 3 T's, by the way, everyone. And Matt, let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me anywhere you want to find me. You can find me. No,
I'm
Twitter.
your house right now.
The Twitter is, I believe my Twitter is Matt Soupy30, SUPEY. Colton, I'll be seeing you soon, man. I'll probably be like grilling or something. Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. I don't know. I don't really post anything on YouTube, but if you just want to watch old stuff. So, yeah, that's where you can check me out.
Well, thank you, Matt, for being on the show today. Thank you, Colton, for coming back to finish off the show. We appreciate that. And
Just need a water.
thank you, viewers, for watching and listening. And we will see you in the next one. Be smooth.